Hey guys, welcome back to the Carney's Customs YouTube channel. Today we are working on my 99 F250. This is the truck that you've seen in previous videos that I converted from leaf spring suspension to coil spring front suspension out of a 2006 F250. Now today we aren't having issues with any of that. Today we're having issues with the alternator. This truck is dropping voltage bad near the upper RPM, somewhere around 22 and higher than that. It's dropping from the regular 14 volts that it's charging at to 12.3 volts, which is a straight battery voltage. It gets even worse when it's cold at night and I got to go somewhere. It drops at a even earlier RPM, and I can't deal with that. Colorado's is going to start getting real cold this winter, and it's going to happen way more often. So today we're going to be upgrading to a 250 amp unit. So let's take a look. Now I got this alternator off of eBay, but it was highly recommended from my coworker that builds some pretty big subwoofers and has a pretty wicked vehicle. So if he believes in these alternators to keep up with his units, then I think he can keep up with my stock truck. I'm not running too much accessories, so this should have no issue. It's packaged pretty dang well. Now what I'll have to show you guys when I get the original one off the truck is that this is clocked a little different. Instead of pointing straight up, it's pointing to the side, which should be no issue. If we do have an issue, we'll just unbolt these 3 bolts and clock it. Now the truck is going to be hot because I just got back from running errands, so hopefully it's not too bad because it's definitely warm right now. Oh, shit. Oh, baby. Alright, now the only thing we got to get off is here. I'm going the wrong way. Big dummy. Holy shit, that is a strong tensioner. Holy cow. Alright, there we go. That's off. Now, I would recommend that you disconnect the batteries, but I like to live on the edge, so we're not going to do that. Disconnect the plug, the voltage regulator, and now we got to pull the cable off the back. But to make it easier so I can get the alternator out of the way and not touching ground everywhere, I'm going to just pull the alternator off and set it to the side. Alright, I'm going to leave the battery cable sticking straight up. Let's get this thing out of here and I'll show you guys the difference on the new alternator. Now the big difference with these two units is the way they're clocked. I have them both lined up on how they're going to be on the truck. As you can tell, the outputs on the factory, or I guess the replacement alternator, came out the top, and my new upgraded alternator is coming out the side. I'll show you on the truck, it really doesn't matter. Now what I did notice while pulling this alternator off the truck, it states here that It was replaced in 2016, so it was not the factory alternator. And it shows here that the output at 2000 RPM is 79 amps, and the output at 6000 RPM is 123 amps. Now this new alternator is rated, it don't give me the specs like that one does, but it's rated for 250 amps. Now this guy that rebuilds them, he is in the United States, so it is an American-made alternator. Now, I was told to look at the pulley size. It does look like this pulley is a little bit smaller than the factory pulley. If we have any issues, I can put the factory pulley back on it, but we should have no issues. So let's go ahead and slap the new alternator on the truck. I'm going to just set that in place so I can get into the truck. Alright, there we go. Now, you can see that this cable is extremely long, but there's no issue with the way it is. So, we're just going to go ahead, bend that a little bit, realign it, and we're going to stick it right to that plug. I'm going to start by just bolting the alternator down now that I don't have to worry about touching it to ground. Now, the last guy did use anti-seize, so I'm not going to worry about putting any on it. If yours is still factory, go ahead and put some on it. It's a steel bolt and a aluminum bracket. I think we're having some issues here. Alright, now I knew this was going to happen. I did not buy the exact part number for this truck, but I didn't think it would be an issue. But as of right now, it is an issue. So the bottom of the alternator right here is hitting the bracket in both spots. Is hitting the bracket in the center. So what we're going to do is, I'm using this alternator. I want this alternator. We're going to go ahead and take the grinder, and we're just going to relieve the valley of this bracket real quick. Just put a little bit more space in it. Now let me test fit it. Alright, sitting on all the pads with no issue. Now we can bolt her down. Okay, now, go ahead and pull the cable up. There you go. Everything's hooked up. Gotta put the belt back on now. without busting my knuckles. It's almost there. Oh, there we go. All right, she's on. Make sure you double check all your pulleys. Make sure they all stayed on. Sometimes when it goes slack, they like to fall off. But everything is looking perfect. So let's go ahead. Everything's tight. Let me double check those bolts. The gun does it plenty, but yeah, they're tight. All right, let's go ahead and start the truck. Battery charging. 14.1 volts. Everything looks good. The belt stayed on. And it's charging. No battery light as well. So, I think we're all set. Let's take it for a test drive. Now the issue was when giving her the bean, she dropped voltage real quick. But she has no issues now. She runs pretty dang good. So if you guys want to get one of these alternators, just remember you may have to clearance your bracket a little bit, but I will include the link in the description if you do want to get one. So remember, 250 amps. So it's going to be doing way better than a stock alternator. If I plan to run extra lights or if I plan on running a winch, this alternator is not going to have any issues. So guys, if you enjoyed, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.